Paul, aka the Warrior Walker, welcome to the Grind Diaries podcast.
Yes. Anyone that's followed me on my walk 3 years ago, I've been walking for 3 years, which is outrageous, but yeah, here we are.
How on earth do you come up with the idea of walking Great Britain?
But yeah, I got a message from a friend on Instagram, just said, bro, you need to walk around the UK and write a book about it in Scotland. And it was minus 16. It actually hurt my bones. Everyone's got a moment in their life where they can kind of go and reach into their mind and see themselves there. And if you don't have that moment, then you need to go and do more things. So it's me against me. For me, the power of walking is the best thing you can do, which is ironic. It's 12,500 miles that I did. I did 90 minutes sleep over 2 days and 136 kilometers. I was a Marine for 4.5 years. We're only one bad decision away from a war.
Yeah.
You know, that no one really wants. I went on a TV show called Shipwrecked on Channel 4. But yeah, I became a teacher. I loved it. It was amazing. Yeah, I went from the Taliban to singing Bar Bar Black Sheep. And 3 weeks later, I set up an Instagram, The Warrior Walker. I left. There are just some questions that don't have answers. Yes, bro. It's been a long time coming.
Oh, mate, honestly, it's been one of those that's just been like bubbling around for so long. So just as a little quick intro, we'll definitely talk a lot more about this, but first person to ever walk around the UK twice. You've
back to back.
Back to back.
I'm like, when anyone ever says it, I'm always like throwing that in there. Back to back.
So
First
literally
person.
one lap, stopped, went back the other way.
Yeah, so did a lap, finished. 6 weeks later, thought to myself, I'm going to come to London, which is where we are now, and go the other way around. And I decided to do that for charity, and we'll go into the deep dive of that in a bit. But yeah, I only finished 8 weeks ago. And,
yeah, crazy.
It's changed my life, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So the way that we got put in touch is that you and Jay from episode 5 of the Grind Diaries became acquainted through whatever medium, and Jay was like, hey, this guy is going to be amazing on your podcast, and kind of put us in touch, and we've been talking about it ever since. Should just mention, actually, Jay very kindly sponsored the podcast, so if you haven't listened to episode 5, give it a listen. Jay runs a brand called Gym Buck, and it's a really cool gym apparel brand, and he's very kindly sponsored this episode. Doing
He's
loads
a good
of,
lad.
great lad.
Good lad.
He's doing loads of really cool stuff. He's got another business called North Peak Films, and they're just about to release a documentary about a bunch of guys that sailed the Atlantic, 3,000 miles, like crazy stuff. So
that.
massive big up to Jay.
Yeah, cheers, Jay.
So,
He's a good lad, and he's a good friend now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we actually, all the three of us actually met during your walk as well, didn't we? So what when you passed through Southampton?
Flew through. It's
We had a
the second lap. I decided to give myself the outrageous challenge of attempting to do it in a year.
Yes.
And I hit that. And again, we'll go into it because that's why I'm here. But it was unforgiving, relentless, but absolutely amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
So I flew through your ends.
Yeah,
Southampton and the area, and
really,
I got to meet you, Jay, and bump into you a couple of times, and it's been great, man.
Yeah, really quick, non-alcoholic beer that
At
we
the
had
time,
in the hotel.
I've had a few beers since.
I don't blame you.
I did, this year, so it's 2024, and we're currently about to hit September, which is wild. But all this year up until I finished the walk, I did 7 months with no alcohol, because I've kind of got to grips with the fact that to hit it in a year, any margin of help that I could get, be it sleep, food, and cutting out alcohol. I didn't drink much anyway. It was just nice when I was in Scotland to have a wee dram, as they called it.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what can I do to help me get round quick? And I decided that the first thing would be alcohol.
Yeah.
And it was great, But when I finished, first thing I did was have a beer.
Yeah.
A real one.
Yeah.
And it was the best beer I've ever had.
Yeah, and the Brewdog, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
By Waterloo, man.
So gutted I wasn't
I
there.
literally, we'll talk about it in a bit and we'll lead on to that, but geez, yeah. It was a great night.
That moment must have been incredible.
It was.
All right. So I'm really interested to know, what is your definition of success?
You know, I don't know what people would say, but what I would say, and it comes to me straight away. Someone actually asked me this question recently, and I just found myself saying it, but it was peace of mind. Yeah, that's my definition of success: to lay your head on a pillow and have the peace of mind that you're good and you're doing okay and you've tried your best. And you know, I think throughout my life that's definitely changed. At one point in time, it would be money, absolutely. It would be success, but what does that look like? And it would be something that probably wasn't about me. It would be externally. So a big house, a nice car, money in the bank, and that would be success. But what I found is, as I've gone and grown older, but definitely on the walk, all those things have disappeared as to what really matters. And it's actually a night full of good sleep and a peace of mind knowing that you're going to be okay, but you're doing okay.
Have you got that, do you think?
I'm getting there. I'm so much more. Anyone that's followed me on my walk 3 years ago, I've been walking for 3 years, which is outrageous, but yeah, here we are. Even now when I'm talking to you, I know that I'm talking slower than I normally would. I'm a lot calmer than I usually am. And the only thing I can put that down to is the walk. And having done it, it's honest. It's my screensaver on my phone. At that moment, I've got that Union Jack wrapped around me and the smile on my face, man. When I did that, I've always will kind of go in and out of topics and themes and go here and go there and go everywhere, because you can't put your life into 2 hours, 3 hours a day, you know. But I'll try my best to convey to you and the people that listen to this and watch this just how I think and what I think about. Life's a struggle, you know. I've finished. I don't know what I thought it would look like when I finished the walk, but it wasn't what it's turned out to be like. And that's an unusual feeling. And I feel like that's the power of the mind and the power of being present. And in the absolute chaos of the walk, you know, I can give you so many different stories and so many different tangents that I'll go off on, but I'll obviously come back and do another podcast and probably another one after that one. There's just so much to talk about, but the thing that springs to my mind is always, I was in January this year, and I was on the West Highland Way in Scotland. It's a beautiful country. And it was minus 16. Yeah, I never felt a cold like that. It actually hurt my bones, like it hurt. And it was January, so there's no one around. And that is my go-to moment at the minute, and for the last few months. It will probably change, but right now, that's the place I go to in my mind, and I envisage myself there again, and how I got through that week and got through that fortnight. So therefore, if I got through that, I can get through anything.
Yeah.
And everyone has that. Everyone's got a moment in their life where they can kind of go and reach into their mind and see themselves there. And if you don't have that moment, then you need to go and do more things.
Yeah, definitely. So like that's a really, I think you've summed it up really well, peace of mind.
Oh,
there's a lot of elements to that though, right? So
many.
You know, what do you do on a day-to-day to make sure that when you lay your head down at night, you know, you're gonna settle with that peace of mind?
I think it's a constant evolution of your own mind and life, and I'll always bring everything back to the walk. You know, my friends are sick of hearing about it, I think, but you know, it's my life. I set off on this adventure to attempt to walk the UK. I never planned to do it twice. It just happened.
Crazy.
So I think it's easier to explain to people in a metaphorical way, but also give an example. And for me, when people have met me on the path, it used to give me a boost, because I knew that when they asked me, where you're walking, I'd tell them and they'd lose their mind. And that was like a little game for me, because I knew it was coming. It always comes. I'm the first person to ever do this, so it's obviously naturally going to come. And I just think that what I've learned as I've walked is that we, as humans, oversimplify or overcomplicate, everything.
Yeah.
There's got to be 10 ways to do something, 20 ways to do that, and there's not, there's just one. So we just overcomplicate it and we get in our own heads. I've done it, I've lived it, I did it for many a year. And now I've just learned that to let go is a powerful thing. So how I put that across to children, to you, to people that are listening now, is that when I first set off on the walk, I had the biggest bag on my back. And it was probably about 30 kilograms. I packed everything. I didn't think anyone would be interested in what I was doing. I didn't think I'd meet anyone. So therefore, I left in summer, and I'm carrying a sleeping bag and winter clothes for the winter that's 3-4 months away. And it was backbreaking.
Yeah,
I was carrying this heavy load, man. I was carrying it and carrying it. I did carry it. But when I did that, I learned how to carry a heavy load. But then the second lap come round, and I all of a sudden decided to do that. And the best way is to compare the first and the second one, because the only person I can compare this walk to is myself, because no one else has done it. So it was me against me. So the guy that left with this big bag on his back decided to do the second lap with a really small rucksack on his back. And therefore, the metaphor that I like to use is, as humans, we carry too much stuff.
Yeah.
And it's easier to lighten the load, but once you start lightening the load, it becomes easier.
Yeah.
And metaphorically, physically, mentally, spiritually, we don't focus on that enough. So when I tell this story, I hope people can understand that you have to start talking and you have to start offloading in order to carry a lighter burden.
Yeah.
And that it's very hard to start talking, especially to strangers, especially to anyone, and also yourself. But right in front of you sits a man that never used to talk, that never used to be in touch with his feelings, that never used to hug everyone he meets. That just organically grew. But when I know people now that meet me, known me for the last few years, they can't believe that I would not talk to anyone. They can't believe that I wouldn't talk about my feelings. They can't believe that I wouldn't talk about mental health, that I wouldn't talk about men and the power of community. I've learned that out in the wilderness, and I hope that I want money. Like, everyone wants, we kind of need money in this world. It's funny because we're in London now, and this is probably the mecca of needing money.
Yeah.
And even I've just come from Bristol today, and I thought we were on the podcast at 2:00, and even someone like me gets things wrong, but you've got to learn to adapt and overcome. So I've been like, right, I've got 5 miles to do and get here quickly because I was running late, but I did it. I'm in the centre of London. I could have got a taxi, a bus, a bike, a train, an underground, but I didn't. I was like, I'm going to walk it.
Yeah.
Because for me to come onto your podcast, to get myself in the headspace I need to get into, for me, the power of walking is the best thing you can do. So when I walk, I feel good. When I walk, my creative side mind is firing, man. So I walked in here hot and sweaty, but ready to go. And I think that when you and you're looking around, when you're in a car, you've got to focus on the road. When you're in a bus, whatever, you don't really see it. It's just quick. Whereas I've managed to take everything in as I get here and notice all the things, the trees, the water, people. And I met a really good friend called Benji, both laps. And he said something really interesting to me. It's the last 2 days of the walk. So I've been walking for 3 years. And he just said something about Sonder. And I was like, what does that mean? And Sonder, S-O-N-D-E-R, it basically means that we all walk past each other, but we all have these burdens, we all have these lives, we all have these things we tell ourselves, and every single person's going through that no matter what they look like. And that's really powerful. Yeah. So it's really hard to be present.
That metaphor of lightening the load.
Yes.
It's the first time I've heard that, and I find that really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Because you're right. You're so right. And I mean, I do it in a daily life where I can allow an idiot driver could ruin my day.
Yes.
And we've just got back from a little break with the family, and it was so we went on a boat trip, right? We were in Devon, and amazing. Took the kids on a boat trip, right? And it was queue to get on, and we all queued up. And whilst we were queuing, you could go upstairs or you could go downstairs, and you could get yourself a seat and all the rest of it. It was all kind of normal. So as we're queuing, we sort of walk left to go and get our seat downstairs, because everybody was queuing to go upstairs because you get a slightly better view. there were sort of 6 of us. So I was like, well, let's go downstairs because, yeah, we won't get, quite as good as a view, but there's 6 of us, so we're not going to take up too much space upstairs. And as we're approaching our seat, there's this family that kind of shove one of their kids, as in like go and sit there before they get there. And this kid runs over and literally like sits down in front of my feet as I'm about to sit down. And I was just like looking around, and then the family make their way over and just kind of sit down. Man, did that trigger me. And it was so close to ruining the boat trip for me, because my friend who was on the boat and my wife talked about it later on, and they were just like, you were so triggered by that. But had I have just lightened the load, had I have just gone, that's not in my control.
Yes.
I would have not spent, and I probably spent 15 minutes really annoyed.
It's not unusual, man. And, God, there's so many things to talk about as always, but, the moment you just mentioned, we all have those moments every day in different realms of our lives. People have kids, relationships, friendships, careers, jobs, hopes, dreams. There's so many things, But to live presently is a very hard skill to learn. I don't think you can ever master that, but you can try. So, to think about yesterday like we are now, talk about what I've done, it's great, it's nice, I'm proud. To think about where I'm going tomorrow and what I'm going to do next, that's also nice. But to be fully present with you now, that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because we're always, as humans, what's next, what's next, what's next? Even you're going to ask me that question probably because everyone does, it's fine. But when I'm walking, and we'll go back to where I started and what I was doing before, but like everyone I would meet would always say, but what's next?
Yeah.
And I'd say, well, why not enjoy now?
It's amazing.
What about right now?
Yeah.
What about talking to you? I'm looking you in the eyes.
Yeah.
We're having a conversation. My coffee's right there. I can't wait to take a sip on it. But what about that? Yeah. We're always thinking about that. We live in an age of phones. I purposely came into this and I put it over there. Because if I'm not present with you, it's kind of rude, right? But also I'm not fully engaged. My mind's wandering. Of course, I've got a life outside of this podcast. I've got a life that I'm looking forward to lead when I leave here today. I've got people I love that I want to see. But I just give you my full attention. And in doing that, that's how you learn how to be present. I'm hot right now because I just walked 5 miles. But I'm learning to be nice with that. It's good because I feel it. We don't listen to the sounds. We're not very present. And I sound probably very stoic. And that's kind of an old thing now, but it's quite fashionable to be that. But I just believe in a nutshell that what I learned on the first lap, there's things I learned, but one of the prominent feelings and thoughts that I had was that it's all about the journey, man. It's all about the journey. Because I was fixated, because you have to be doing something like I did on the finish line. It's a long, long way. So you have to have that. That's my North Star right there, to get to the end. I put that there, because I started in Dorset, and I started in Poole, Bournemouth. That's where I was finishing, because that's where I started. But there was no finish line. I put it there. So when I'm aiming for that, that's what gets me out of bed every day. That's the goal. But if I was just focused on that, and at one point I was right at the start, and I had it because I'm a bit of a determined, resilient kind of dude, as people will get to know if they don't already know. But I learned to let go of that, man. It's going to come. Just keep living every day. And if you don't do well today, and if you don't step up today, then you're not going to get there anyway. But also alongside that, if you want to take a rest, take a rest. The hardest thing I've learned on this walk is to rest, which is ironic. It's 12,500 miles that I did, 20,000 kilometers. People can't get to grips with that distance. I can't, and I've done it. So any way I can explain it to people, it's just like me walking from London to Sydney.
It's crazy.
That's how far I've actually walked. That's how big the UK is.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, and there's so many lessons, so many things. But we focus on the wrong things now. And I don't think it's wrong or right, but we focus on the wrong things, I believe. So to be present and to have peace of mind is probably the best thing you can ever have. And money can't buy that. You can only learn it by doing. Yeah.
Such good advice, man.
Yeah, I try.
'Cause we just don't do it, do we?
No.
Like as humans, we never live in the moment.
No.
We're always thinking about.
It's always, and I do it. I'm guilty of it, man. I'm open. I'm guilty. It's all right. It's fine, man. Again, you got a cough. It's fine. Like I'm guilty of it. I'll grab my phone and take a picture, you know, not be present, but I'll be present enough to know that okay, that was a really good picture and it's a memory.
Yeah.
I'll put it in my pocket and then be present. But to constantly be present is really hard to do because we've got so much noise in our own minds and all around us. It's always what's next? How old are you? How big's your house? How much money have you got? Why aren't you successful? I don't believe in that. It's nice to have that. Of course I want that. But if you focus on that, you miss the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, wait until you retire, wait until I got my pension. You might not reach there.
So
You missed
true.
out on all that good stuff.
So true.
So in a nutshell, the destination and the journey. When you're born, you die. That's the destination. The journey's the bit in between. And you're going to mess it up so many times. You're going to do people wrong. You're going to do people dirty. You're going to do yourself dirty and do yourself wrong. But as long as you learn from that and look back on that, and then when all of a sudden this opportunity arises, this moment arises, and you remember what happened before, and you go that way rather than keep going that way, you're going to otherwise keep learning the same painful lesson. But that's okay as well. I just feel like we're so scared to try and so scared to fail that we don't try and we don't give it a go. And I'm the guy that's the messenger of that, to say, just give it a go. Because if you fail, guess what? You learn. You can try again if you want.
Yep.
But if you don't, that's okay. But in 10 years' time, you're going to look back and be like, I left nothing out there. And if you didn't leave anything, if you left a little bit left out there, I did. I did the first lap, and that wasn't enough for me. I finished it. I got to the end. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I have more left. And it's what I know and what I knew. So therefore I thought to myself, well, let's do it again. Let's go the other way around and see if I can beat myself. And I absolutely smashed myself.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It was incredible.
Nailed it, bro.
Yeah,
Nailed it.
It was incredible.
Oh,
So I'm really interested to kind of get into the detail of like how on earth do you come up with the idea of walking Great Britain?
yeah, I didn't. To give you a life story, which I'm very good at doing now in a matter of minutes, that's taken a lot of practice as well. When people, I mentioned it earlier, when people say to me, oh, you're very calm at speaking, you're very good at speaking, I've practiced it. I've done it for 3 years, every single day to my phone.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not a very good speaker, if you're not confident, talk in the mirror, just talk. You're going to be rubbish. It took me an hour to tell you what I'm going to tell you now in about 3 minutes. But I've learned and I've practiced. But yeah, how did I get here? How did I get to the start line? I was a Marine for 4.5 years. I went on a TV show called Shipwrecked on Channel 4.
Yeah.
I think there's moments of my life, and I've had this such a long time now to walk, to think, to reflect. And I now look back on my life, as we all should do. And these moments in my life gave me certain things, and they've given me this toolbox currently that I can dip in and out of. So my childhood and upbringing gave me a kind of determination to be somebody, something, to not quit. And then I joined the Marines. I didn't think I could do it, but I wanted to try and see if I could. And I did. That gave me probably my strength of mind and my resilience. And it harnessed that in a really unique way. And then I left the Marines and I went on a TV show. That gave me my confidence to be around all these great people that are very TV-like and attractive and handsome and confident, and you've got to speak up, otherwise you're going to get missed, you know. So you've got to learn to be confident in who you are. That's what that gave me. And then after that, 2012, I got a message from my brother. Just said, mate, do you want a job? I was like, yeah, right then. So I found myself in February 2012 flying out to Thailand to base myself from there. Never been there in my life. The most beautiful country in the world. One of the most beautiful countries in the world. And I then worked in Afghanistan. So I did 6 to 8 weeks for the American government as a bodyguard.
Really?
2 years I did that for. Wild times. We haven't got enough time to talk about that. I have to come back. But, that taught me that money's not everything. You know? I just went there for the money. What a place to roll that dice, man. And all the things happen there. So, you know, I then one day remember thinking to myself, God, I don't want to die right now. You know? So I thought...
Like that dangerous out there?
Yeah. City centre of Kabul, man. Taliban everywhere.
Who are you protecting?
American government and a company for them. So anything from politicians, journalists, NGOs, just yeah. It's wild. It makes me smile because I'm glad I got through it. And also just as a side note, you know, Afghanistan gets a bad rap, but it's not a bad place. It's just, unfortunately, got a lot of bad people and a lot of power. The Afghans are beautiful people. They're the kindest people. And a lot of my grace and gratitude that I have for my life right now comes from them.
Really?
You can't go to a place like that, see how they live, and be fortunate enough to just get your passport out and fly out of it and fly in and make a lot of money. You can't not take away a lot of things from that. And I'm very grateful and full of gratitude and full of drive to honour my friends out there that are Afghans that I still talk to every day, and also to honour the guys that I lost and friends that I lost in the Marines and out there. Because I always think sometimes, I can't be bothered to do that. Or, I've done enough. And then I think of them. And that they would love to be where I am right now. So I take my drive and gratitude from there in a great way. But yeah, I just wanted to be very upfront about that. Because the 1% ruin it for 99%.
Yeah.
And Afghans, Middle Eastern people, humans are good. They are very good people. And they want you to win.
We get bad press though, don't we? Like, we only see what's on the TV.
Of course.
And we get, it's really easy for us to form an opinion of something that we know absolutely fuck all about.
I love these swear, but yeah, I didn't know we could swear on this, but let's go. It's passion, let's go.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's
true, isn't it?
We
like,
do.
you know, the media can really kind of...
Propaganda, man.
Yeah, and
this is again another podcast.
They can almost give you an opinion of something, and it's really interesting to hear that.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I can only talk about my experience, and I can only talk about my life and give you my opinion. It's a very full life, and when we get around to the walk in a minute, I didn't actually realise I lived a full life until I started talking about my life, and then I started to hear the same things, and that made me feel good. But I'm just grateful, man. I think I've always been this way since I was very young. I remember, like, one of the first books I remember reading was called The Secret, you know? And it's, it's just like this kind of, I can't remember the name of the author now. In a nutshell, it's basically the power of manifestation and visualization. And it's real. And thoughts become things. Seek and ye shall find, from the Bible even. I'm not a very religious man. I'm about the pagans and the gods, as you can see from my hands. But yeah, you can go back to day one and read the Bible, the Quran, like read a book, and you can find hidden nuggets of knowledge. And I reflect and talk about, you know, my arm, memento mori, right? Remember death. That's from the Stoics. You know, I think it might be even Marcus Aurelius, something like that. But that's a long time ago, and yet we still go there. And I think as humans, we are still that people. We've just moved very fast technologically. I was speaking about this the other day, like 100 years ago. There wasn't many planes in the sky. There wasn't many cars on the road. And you could have a war and fight with a pistol and maybe a Spitfire, you know? Not even 100 years ago. And now, you can sit in this room and you can probably, if you've got the capabilities, governments, to bomb places and not even be there. It's dangerous. We're on a very... we're on like a precipice at the moment, but I feel like we always are. We're only one bad decision away from a war. Yeah. You know, that no one really wants. And we're, you know, so to not lose your head about that. Again, the walk. You know, I met a very educated man, and I'll come on to that in a bit, but make sure you remind me about that. But I mean, we could talk about so many different things. But yeah, so go back to, I went to Afghanistan. And one day I decided that I didn't want to die before I'm going to die, if I was to have a full life. So I thought, what do I love to do? And I love Thailand. Again, another place that has stereotypes. We all do. We all have it. but it's the purest, greatest, beautiful, most amazing country. And I became a kindergarten teacher. So I went from Kabul, Taliban to 4-year-old kids.
No way.
Yeah. And again, I had no qualifications, nothing, but a will and a desire to see if I could do it. So I went to an agency and I started teaching, and I became quickly quite good at it. And I went to the school and I taught in a private school, and, you know, I was one of the best teachers there. But the reason I think I was is because I loved the kids and I went for them. So I had a purpose. Whereas, you know, I wound a lot of people up, because there's teachers from America and South Africa and England that have got degrees and done PGCSEs or PGCEs and all these qualifications, and I was the guy that just came off the street, you know. But I loved it. It's humbling. They made me happy. Kids are kids. They're blunt. They're honest. You know. I remember I picked up Thai quite quickly because I was surrounded by the language. And the story I think about is, they used to say, like, Teacher Paul men mag, and it's Teacher Paul smells really bad. And I'm like, it's really, if you've been to Asia, it's so humid, it's so hot, you just can't not sweat. And I'd sweat a lot, and naturally, I'd obviously smell a little bit, but everyone did. And I was that conscious about it. Is one thing that I've not managed to let go even on the walk. And I used to have my lunch break at school, and I'd take a spare uniform with me, like spare set of clothes. I'd go to the toilet, and if you know about Asia, you'll know what I'm going to say now, but they have bum guns. You know, don't have toilet paper really, they have bum guns. I'd shower myself in one of the teachers' toilets with a bum gun. And then put the clothes on, just so I didn't smell as bad as I probably would. Just, you know, and it's just little things that I look back on now and laugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I became a teacher. I loved it. It was amazing. And then, yeah, I went from the Taliban to singing Bar Bar Black Sheep.
Superb.
In front of 30 children and their parents. I hate flipping, dude. It was so nerve. I honestly, I found that harder than being a Marine.
So, mentally though,
yeah,
like, you're going from a hostile environment, right?
Yeah.
So you're in the Marines, right? You've got to be like, you know, you've got to be disciplined. You've got to be, you know, I mean, I've never been in the Marines, but that's how I kind of imagine it to be.
It's true.
You kind of come out of there and you're going into this hostile security environment.
Yeah.
Really hostile.
I'm basically like up and down, up,
Yeah.
you know, reference safety and security.
And then you move into this world of just like
Kids.
teaching kids. Like,
So good.
mentally, what does that do to you?
Therapy.
Really?
Yeah. Take the kids' energy, man. You got like 30 children. They don't care about anything other than being fed, sleeping, because having the little power naps because they're 3, 4, 5, 6. They're like dogs. Kids are like dogs. They just see an energy. They don't know you, but they don't care. They don't have an opinion or they can't form an opinion of you. They just see what they see. And if you're a good person, they love you.
Yeah.
It's so simple. You just got to give them a load of love. Yeah. And I love that. And that was what helped me a lot.
Do you think that's because kids, perhaps at that age, don't really have the ability to overthink?
They don't have the ability to overthink, but they're not shown the things we're shown, and they don't form an opinion because they're so young that they're just honest.
Yeah.
And brutally honest. And at some point in time, at some certain age, as we all will know, you then start watching the news, forming an opinion of what your parents think and what they talk about in the home and how they are in the home. That's the first thing they see or know.
Yeah.
And also, if your parents aren't great, mine weren't. I'm glad about it now, but I wasn't at the time. But, you know, again, kids, adults, dogs, I always say some things a lot, and your energy speaks before you do. When you walk into a room, you don't have to be loud and this, that, and the other, but people read people. Yeah. And your aura, your energy, your eyes give a lot away. And from the military, I learned that, you know, in a negative way, what to look out for. But now I look at it I kind of just have this thing where I've met so many people, and the vibrations and energy of someone, you can tell. Yeah. It's called a gut instinct. Yeah. Right? So you form an opinion already. You know whether you trust it. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't listen to that. I listened to mine. Fast forward, I'm in the UK. I've been back from Thailand. I had a week's notice to leave. I had a girlfriend of 2 years, and she had a daughter who I coincidentally taught in the first year. Never said anything other than "Swaddy Cap." Hello, how are you? Like, it's very polite over there. Never spoke to her. Assumed that she was married because it was an expensive school. That was me being judgy of women, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do that now. But yeah, I just assumed that she must be married. A woman can't be independent and have a lot of money, obviously. What a dick. And yeah, you know, and I just want to put that to bed. That's not true. Now, I don't think that now. I've got a very massive amount of respect for women. I love, you know, I'm going to go on and off different things because I've got so much to say in such a short time. Women are great. It's probably it's the feminine energy that I didn't have when I was growing up. And it's got me around the UK twice. Men are great. We're great. But we're so shit at communicating. Yeah. We're too proud to be like, you're doing really well, man. Bring it in. Like, give me a hug. How you doing? How you feeling? Women aren't.
No.
The mothering internal instinct of a woman. Yeah. Kids or no kids, they just have it. It's amazing. Mm. And also, they're strong motherfuckers. To give birth, dude. Yeah. Come on. Like, without them, there's no us, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just want to give a shout out to all the women out there, man. Yeah. Like, I fucking love women. Like, they're so strong. Strong people, but they're so mothering. And it was those quiet talks that I had with people on the walk, which would usually come from women, that healed a lot of my soul, bro.
Yeah, that's really cool. So how do you go from this teacher in Thailand to walking?
Yes, so as I mentioned, I was in Thailand. Had a girlfriend of 2 years. She had a daughter. I was then running my own teaching school. Did it for a year. I was about to do it for a second year. I was making more money than I did in the Marines. It's amazing. I was doing 20 hours a week.
Jeez.
Really good with kids. I loved them. I thought I completed life. Fast forward to going to get my visa renewed, which was no problem for 7 years. They just said no. And I had a week to leave. And they said, come back in 6 months. But to give the secret away, 6 months was COVID. So yeah, I was distraught. I didn't know COVID was going to come or happen. I don't think anyone did until it started getting out into China, obviously, and then you just put 2 and 2 together and realise that's going to go viral very quickly. But anyway, that's another rabbit hole. But yeah, I found myself a week later losing everything and being in Bournemouth, where I grew up with my dad, who I didn't particularly get on with very well, and I didn't want to be there from the start. And I went through 10 months of hell.
So
internal.
During this time, the girlfriend was still...
We couldn't keep it up. It's time zones and wasn't meant to be. I have a lot of love for her. She was great. She helped me a lot. But I found myself in Dorset. And at this point in time, bearing in mind, I wasn't talking like I do now. Mm-hmm. I like to talk about that. I like to tell people this. I really like to bring it in and tell people this, because from the walk, people put me on this pedestal, which I'm happy to take, and I do like it. It's nice to be known, to have done something so great. But I like to tell people that I wasn't that way. I didn't talk to anyone. It was so bad that I'd walk down Bournemouth High Street and I'd see some friends. I'd been away for 7 years, but I'd see friends in the distance. I would turn around and go back the other way. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to talk to them.
And am I right in saying, because I kind of get this myself a little bit, or have had this myself a little bit, it's not because you don't want to talk to them, it's more the fact that you think, man, like, what am I going to say? Like,
yes. Yeah,
and you haven't got the energy to muster up that.
And you don't want to reveal your deepest, darkest secrets. And how you doing? I'm okay. Okay, that's it. And there's men and people, but men, we don't really delve any deeper than that. No. But you're really okay though. You can tell me, like, we're good, bro. Like, what's going on? But we don't do that as men. We're just like, yeah, I'm good. And then we have all these different things: drugs, sex, rock and roll, Instagram, Netflix, to medicate ourselves with. It doesn't work. And we assume that everything's out there is the problem, but it's not. It's in here.
Yeah.
And it's a very hard, lonely journey to go on. And it takes years to even get anywhere with it. But you got to start somewhere. And for me, my hero's journey was that, in a nutshell, it was 10 months. I felt awful. I find it weird, unusual, talking about that version of me then. But I'm so proud of him, because like, it makes my hairs on my legs stand up, man. Like, I'm so proud of that guy, because I had nothing, man. Like, on paper, 10 months, I wanted to kill myself 3 times.
Jeez.
Yeah, really low, man. And I'm so proud I can talk about that and let people know that I've had that and done that and wanted to do that. And now I definitely don't. And I'm so glad I didn't, because my life has been absolutely magical since I started this walk. And there's hope in everyone's lives. And you can start again and again and again. And it's never too late. But yeah, I remember it was a Christmas, I had a panic attack. And I just remember, like, mid-December, just not being able to speak. All of a sudden I'm crying and hyperventilating. I can't breathe. I thought I was having a heart attack or something. I don't really know what it was scary. And I remember, I'm never going to forget it, really. It was like one of the worst days of my life, but the best now. You know, after about 15 minutes, I'm in front of my dad and his partner, his wife. And I finally speak, and the words that come out of my mouth are, I feel like a failure. That's what came out.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll never forget that, because I'm not, and no one is.
Did you genuinely believe that at the time?
Yeah, man, that's what came out. I just thought, I was in this office job. I was working in an office, selling insurance. And after living the life I've just alluded to, that's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah. But I look back on it now with, now I'm smiling, man. Like, I'm so proud that I got through that. And on my darkest days on the walk, it was there that I'd go, because I'd be proud of that guy. I'd be thinking, well, do you want to be in an office today? No, I don't. It's -16, but I don't want to be in an office. So yeah, I had a panic attack. COVID came. And I just found myself starting to walk a lot. And I quickly found, I was in Bournemouth, right? So Boscombe, Bournemouth, Purbex.
Yeah. Nice places to walk.
Yeah, so beautiful. And I found myself walking. And I love coffee. It's my thing. I'm known for walking and coffee, right? But I don't know if a lot of people know. And if they don't, I'm about to tell you. But the journey for coffee for me, I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't even look myself in the mirror when I'd get ready. Sometimes I wouldn't even shower. And as a Marine, that's not a thing to do. No. You just built in you to do that. Yeah. I didn't. I'm not ashamed to say that. And the one thing that kept me going was to go get a coffee. In my head, it was like a war, bro. Constantly hating on myself. Working in an office, looking around the office and the people in the office and thinking, you're such a loser. Like, you've done all these amazing things and you're here.
Yeah.
You're selling insurance. You're an absolute loser. And a whole lot worse. The way I spoke to myself, if my friends spoke to me like that, I wouldn't have friends.
No.
Right? But that's what we do. We don't talk to ourselves very kindly. But yeah, I did that, and I did it, and I kept doing it. And after a while, if you do a habit something like 21 days to create or break one, imagine doing it for 10 months. So I then start believing this version of events that I tell myself. And we've probably all done it. You've probably done it. And people that are listening to this have probably done it, but they put their head on a pillow. And you can run through your life like Google in 10 seconds. And you can imagine all these scenarios if you don't do something X, Y, and Z, and therefore that peace of mind, you don't have any peace.
Yeah.
It's constant, and it's draining, and it's stressful, and you're knackered. It's more physical or physically draining than going for a walk, and I'm just questioning everything, and I hated my life. And I just went for coffee. I used to simply say to myself, just get up and go for a coffee.
Yeah.
In going for a coffee, it might be 5 miles, 10 miles, 3 miles, 2 miles. I'm up, I'm out, I'm in the fresh air, 2K in, 3 kilometers in. I'm feeling good, bro.
Yeah.
Because you're walking, you're moving, the endorphins are pumping, You're seeing people, not many in COVID, but you're seeing people. And the fresh air is getting to me, and I'm becoming creative. It's one of the reasons why I walked here. Even now, I've done 12,500 miles. I've walked for 3 years, bit of a pro. I still refuse to take the transport because in my head, I'm like, I could get here quickly. But it's in this walk that I've come up with these answers to questions.
Yeah, yeah.
So walking's so good for you. But yeah, I got a message from a friend on Instagram. Just said, pretty much, bro, you need to walk around the UK and write a book about it. And 3 weeks later, I set up an Instagram, The Warrior Walker. I left with £300 in my bank. The rest is history, bro.
So you, like, I mean, I'm imagining you to be in a real dark place here, right? Like,
So dark, bro.
Your friend obviously knows this as well. That's kind of come up with a suggestion.
He didn't, but he saw that I needed a purpose and a challenge.
Okay.
So I'm forever grateful for him for that.
Yeah.
His name's Rory.
Wicked.
Never
Big up
forgetting that.
Rory.
Oh, my big up Rory.
And so it's baffling.
I know.
Mate, you need to walk. I mean, most people would look at that text and be like,
Throw it in the bin. No, what? Have a laugh.
Yeah. Is that a joke?
Mate,
But
I
you've
just honestly, I remember it again like it was. I got a very good memory. Like my loved ones in my life are like, you have got a photographic memory. I'm like, I just remember everything. But yeah, I remember it, bro. It came in, and the way I talk about it is like a metaphor. Like, 'cause it's the easiest way to describe things, right? That's what a metaphor is.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, my life was like when you strike a match, and you get a flame.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my life for me. And then that message came in, and it was like taking that match and throwing it onto the biggest bonfire, and I just became lit up. And for 3 weeks, a number of things would happen. I'd go hours. I'm doing it. I'm not doing it. Don't be stupid. What about money? How are you going to get around? What about a career? Dude, you're 37. Like, you should be married by now. You should have money in the bank by now. This is stupid. I'm doing it. Oh my God, I don't know. But I'm doing it. And I was on a walk, and I remember the reason I called it the Warrior Walker, which is really good now. I talk about the gods a lot and the spirits and energies, but I was on a Roman ruins in Basingstoke of all places, and I touched this. It wasn't the Colosseum. It's basically some rocks, but you could tell it was a thing in the past. And I remember thinking, you know what though, that was ages ago, and it's still here. So I just remember touching this stone and being like, just give me the energy, man. It's just me and the stones and the energy of the place, and just be like, give me the energy. Give me your courage, give me, and I just remember that. And that was the day that it was sunny. I decided the endorphins are pumping. I'm 30k in on that day of walking. And I just remember thinking and dreaming or feeling, or I remember messaging my friend Emma being, I'm doing it. She's like, yes, I'm so proud of you, man. I was like, I'm doing it. And I called it the Warrior Walker because I read a quote, dreamt a quote, I can't remember, but it just said, be careful what you say to yourself, because the warrior within you is lessened by it, right? So be careful how you talk to yourself, because the warrior within you, your spirit, listens. So if you're constantly telling yourself that you're this, that you're that you're not worth anything, guess what? Your spirit's going to believe that, and you're going to be that. And that was my mic drop moment in my life with a quote where I just was like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then I decided to do the walk. Because I decided that I thought to myself, I'm very good with like visualization. I've done a lot. So I draw on that life experience. And I just remember thinking, actually, I got to do this because I got to try. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do it, but I've got to try. Because I knew, and luckily had the foresight and life experience to know that if I didn't do it, didn't try, that I'd be an old, I just remember having this like almost image, fast forward in my life to being an old man, an older man, being angry, bitter. Not because anyone else is that way, but because I internally am that way, because I didn't try.
Yeah.
Where would I be? What would my life look like? And that was my driver. It was like, just give it a go.
Yeah.
So I stepped up to the start line, put a bag on my back, a big bag on my back, and thought, let's give it a go. And day one, I remember, I talk about it a lot now, because because I constantly talk about the walk and what I've learned and bring it into the present, but then go into the past with it. But I just remember this feeling. If there's a God, if there's a spirit, if there's an energy, I had it that day. And I just remember it, like, honestly, I don't try not to lie. I don't lie anymore. I used to lie a lot, just about how I'm feeling. If I like someone, if I was happy, I don't do that anymore. This is the best way. Mm-hmm. It's uncomfortable sometimes, but if you lie, you don't know what story you've told.
No.
Yeah. Luckily, I didn't lie, because I thought, luckily I haven't, because I met so many people now, and it's easy to talk about this, and I remember everything, so I just don't lie. And I was like, really umming and ahhing about setting up an Instagram. And I just thought to myself, actually, I will, because my friend Tommy, who was the one that was like, you got to do this, bro. He was like, mate, the people need to see this. You're going to smash it. I didn't think I would. But he's like, this is a good journal if you do write the book. But I just remember having this feeling, this wave of emotion, or the gods. I don't know, man. But then some questions don't have answers, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because it just is. This feeling that went over me and said, you're in the right place. This is what you're meant to be doing. Step. Go. It was powerful, bro. It's like someone pushed me almost.
Yeah.
And I took that first step physically. Never looked back, man.
It's a big lesson, man, because I just feel like I've been in so many situations where, so for me, right, and you know, this whole podcast thing's been a bit of a journey, similar to in theory, similar to kind of yours, because go back 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. Had someone had said to me, and had I have had the courage to take the idea seriously of walking the Great British Isles, I would have had to, in my mind, I would have had to plan that. Mm. And do you know what would have happened?
You'd have talked yourself out.
I'd have talked to myself out.
Everyone does.
So it's really powerful, the fact that you've just gone, I'm going to fucking do it.
Don't think, do.
Just crack on.
Don't think, do, man. Like, there's never a right time. Really never a right time, especially now. We have relationships with ourselves, we have things we want to do, and so many distractions, and I've lived that and done that and had that. I'm no different. I'm like, I always talk about it. I'm an ordinary guy trying to be an extraordinary guy. Mm-hmm. I'm an ordinary guy trying to do extraordinary things. Mm-hmm. You know. So one thing I'm really interested in, like, there must have been, like you said before, you know, the minus 16 days, the days where you don't want to do it, the days where you want, you know, you've got 60 kilometers to cover in a really short period of time. Yeah.
How do you do it?
Firstly, I'm going to have to come back for another podcast, just because there's so much to talk about. And I feel like this podcast is possibly like a generic, this is who I am and this is what I've done. And the next one needs to be, okay, this is lap 1 versus lap 2.
Oh yeah, we can.
And I'm happy to do that. I'd love to do that. But what was your question?
How do you get yourself up and out on the days where you really don't want to?
Again, it's that purpose. I was in such a bad headspace before I started, that I promised to myself that I wouldn't be there again, and try not to be there again. So I believe in order not to do that, you have to do what you said you're going to do. My doing what I said I was going to do now turns out that it was a 20,000 kilometre walk, but it might be going to the gym tomorrow. It might be just being present with yourself, your kids, your wife, your partner. But I just made this promise, small promise, to do what I said I was going to do. And that's what happened. And I had that internally. But the thing is, when I started walking, instantly, literally instantly, people were great. The humans of the UK and Instagram.
Yeah.
In real life and Instagram, but real life, were great, were supportive, kind, put me up for a night. The currency would be, because I didn't have any currency, would be, tell us about your life over dinner, breaking bread, right? I'd cry. Well, it took me, like, honestly, what I've told you, it would take me an hour just to get out while I'm walking. I was crying all the time because the kindness I saw from people I didn't know was mind-blowing to me. And what do you want? They didn't want anything. They just wanted to help me.
Yeah.
And I've made the best friends. I didn't know you before I walked.
No.
I didn't know Jay. I didn't know many important people in my life. Everyone that's come in my life the last 2 laps of the UK, I've got 50 mums and dads, 50 brothers, sisters, 1 partner. But like, none of that happened if I didn't do this.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And there's an amazing lady called Nicola. And at this point in time, I'm 2 and a bit months in on the walk. I'm doing good distances. I'm doing well. I'm on the north coast of Devon. I started in Poole in Dorset and I've gone around that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm almost finishing the southwest coastal path. I stayed with them the first night. And the good thing about, as a side note, doing it twice was I got to see the same people twice.
Yes.
But the first lap and the second lap, so I saw them in like October, and then 3 years later, really 2.5 years later, I've gone the other way and I've met them again.
Amazing.
They've seen 2 different versions of me. And the first lap I was just me, and I was still cool, I was still doing my thing, I was still living my life, I'm loving my life, and I'm doing something very different. But the second lap, everyone just say the same things. You change so much, man. Physically, but in spirit, and you're so calm. You're so well spoken. You're just have a purpose. You've not give up, and it was just amazing to hear and see. Because we don't know what we are, who we are. We think we know who we are, but other people generally tell us what they think about us, and it's nice to hear the same things from vastly different people.
Yeah.
But just quickly back to Nicola, I remember I was saying to her over dinner, I'm so lucky I get to do this, I'm so lucky about this, I'm so lucky about this. And I just remember saying, Paul, let me stop you. Everything you're saying is right, just you're not lucky. You create your own luck. If you didn't step off, if you didn't have the courage to do that, and you didn't have the courage to keep on going, when you don't want to keep on going, you wouldn't have this now. And that's always stuck with me.
So true.
And now I always, when anyone says that, I'm so lucky to have this. Luck does play a part, but the more you do, you become luckier.
Yeah.
But you create your own.
Yeah.
Like I can walk out this door now and I can go left, right, or stay. It's on me. And there's 3 different versions of me. One does stay, one does go left, and one does go right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother podcast. But,
yeah.
You are faced constantly, daily with different choices.
Yeah.
And we aren't here long enough. So I luckily had the foresight to just give it a go. And now I'm very passionate about people giving it a go. And people are, comparison's the thief of joy, man. I go on Instagram, I do it. I walk around London, I'm like, damn, that guy's freaking fit looking, bro. Man, I don't look like that. Oh, that car's nice. I do it. Did it on the way here. But I just quickly bring myself back in the room.
Yeah.
Because comparison is the thief of joy. And the last thing I'll say today, because I'm definitely going to come back, is that I left as a lone wolf on the walk, on the first lap. And I came back with a community of amazing humans around me and supporting me. And I used to think I was a bit of a black sheep. I couldn't understand why someone had that nice car, why someone had that big house, why someone had that strong relationship with themselves and other people and their partners, why someone had kids. Oh my God, why do I not know what I want to do in my life? I should know by now. And what I found is, in talking my way around the UK as well as walking my way around the UK, and then opening up about how I feel and who I am, people would do that back to me. And what I learned was, I've stayed in on sofas, stayed in beds, single beds, big houses, small houses, rich families, poor families, a barn with cows, camped out with no sleeping bag, no tent, with a sleeping bag and a tent, all the seasons ×2, and stayed in castles with lords and ladies, and hotels and 5-star hotels. And what I found is that all those people that own those places and live in those places, and all the rich monies that they have, and the big cars and the big houses, or just a bike, We're all the same. Everyone has the same worries.
It's crazy.
Everyone has the same feelings. We're pretty much the same people. And for me, I left as a lone wolf, and the most comforting thing is that I'm not different. I do things differently, but I'm not different. None of us are. We're on the same planet, on the same earth, going through the same things. We might look different, but we aren't. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
We all want love, to be loved. We all want to be happy. We all want to have peace of mind. We all want to be successful, however that looks to us. And we all want basically the same things, man. We all want to live a long life. We want to try, fail, try. And that's great, and that's what's got me around.
Yeah. It's incredible, man. It's like really powerful as well. Like,
yeah.
So powerful. I've got 3 quick fire questions for you.
I'll try and do the quick part.
The quick part, yeah.
I've got so much to say, man. I'm like looking at the timer, and I'm like, God damn, like, we're not even like scratching the surface.
It goes so quick.
So, you know, you're going to ask me some certain questions, which I do know what they are going to be, so I'll be trying to do that. But I'm definitely going to come back because you're a good friend, and you're a good guy, and you're just starting out.
Yeah, man.
And I was the good guy just starting out, and I struggled.
Yeah.
So I'm all about the, you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of things that the cream rises to the top, and then people want to speak to you.
Yeah,
I'm about supporting the guy or the girl that's starting on the ball.
Yeah, I appreciate
I'm always going to be, not even a thing. It's not a thing. You're a good friend.
That is, I think it's quite honorary of your personality as well. I think, like, I really feel that. Like, you're just...
I'm a loyal guy, bro.
Loyal guy.
Yeah. I don't know where that comes from, but I just am. And, you know, I've come from Bristol this morning.
Yeah.
And I've yomped it across London, and I'm here. And I'm going back again. And the reason I've done it is because I like to tell my story. The first podcast I've done since the walk. I had an 8-week break. I've been asked to do loads. I've got some coming up. We'll speak about them in a minute, but I just did what I said I was going to do. Yeah. And I remember seeing you in Southampton saying, I'll do your one first.
Yeah.
I've kept my word, man. Yeah. And I'll happily do it again.
Massively appreciate
Nah, man. Right back at you.
So what 3 things would you say have got you to where you are today?
In my life? Ooh. These are quick fire. Okay, so an unwavering resilience. And I don't know where it's from. I'm happy with that. Like I said, spoke about the walk quite a bit, but there are just some questions that don't have answers.
Yeah.
And I constantly was trying to find on the walk. I was pushing myself, and we'll get to it another time. But the last day was brutal. In a quick nutshell, I did 90 minutes sleep over 2 days and 136 kilometers. And I was trying to find my limit, and I found it on the last day. And there's a message there, I think, for me, because I was thinking probably about going 3rd time lucky, and might still do that sometime. If someone's outrageous enough to walk it twice like I have, I will break it again. I won't let people... I don't want people to be... I'm very competitive. So my competitiveness with myself, just to push the limits. So my unwavering resilience. And I have a really strong desire and competitive side to beat myself in a healthy way. And love, it's a powerful emotion.
Yeah,
it's not used enough.
No.
And that's not just in the realms of your partner, your kids, yourself. And to love what you do, and to love who you are, who you want to be, love who you weren't meant to be, love who you were when you weren't as good as you could have been.
Yeah,
love is powerful, man. It's got me around the second lap.
Agree.
And as a man, it's not very well spoken of.
No.
Love can do things to you, man. It's such a powerful... I think it's the emotion. It's the only emotion.
Yeah.
We all want it.
I agree.
And we don't give it.
Yeah.
But in order to get it, you got to give it.
Yeah.
And you might not get it back, but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful.
So yeah, unwavering resilience, the competitiveness that I have with myself, and the most important one is love, man.
Yeah. Love that, man. It's a great answer. Would you change anything about your journey?
In the journey of life or the walk, I'd say yes. But then I'd quickly say no. Because if I did change something, and I mentioned before, left, right, or stay where you are, there's 3 different versions of you. Well, this version of me chose to do certain things, and in order to do those things, I'm now here. if I take one of those moments out and say, actually, I'll change that, then the next part of the story changes as well.
Yeah, it could change the trajectory, couldn't it?
No, and I'm very happy with that.
Perfect.
So if anyone does think that they would like to change something that they've done, well, you can't. So stop living there in your head, right? Stop living there, man, because you can't change it, and you can't change tomorrow. But what you do today, you can. So just go with that.
Love it.
Yeah,
absolutely love it. And what is next? What's going on? I mean, I know you've got loads, but
yeah, man. Life's crazy right now.
Yeah,
it's just so crazy because I finished the walk 8 weeks ago in London, where I am now. I've got such a love for London. I started the second lap in London, and I walked the whole way around the UK and got back to London. And the guy that started the second lap and the guy that came back was vastly different. So I have like this really strong love for London now. Mm-hmm. I love the energy of the place. I finished 8 weeks ago in London, and I've kind of just been saying no a lot, which is good because we say yes too much as well.
Yeah.
And I've just been protecting my energy. So I've lived my life on the walk, doing my thing, and very much so on Instagram. I was my own PR team.
Yeah. I
was my own logistical team, as well as walking. I had to reach. I was living on my phone. People have seen it. You've seen it. Like, I'd finish a 40, 50, 60, 70k day straight on my phone.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's almost like you feel like it's a responsibility.
Yeah, but I've also got such a massive love for it. Because without my Instagram, I wouldn't have found a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And my partner, man, she slid into my DMs, and now we've been together 10 months. So, like, love of my life slid into my DMs, and you slid into my, like, I have such a, I would say I love-hate, but I don't. I love Instagram. It just depends who's looking at it. Mm-hmm. It depends how you feel as you look at it. There's such a good community on there, and that community got me around.
Yeah.
That community gave me rooms, gave me kit, gave me love, gave me hugs, bought me coffees. So I have such a strong love for that. But at the same time, as I alluded to at the start of the podcast, one of the key things I've learned is to rest. It's impossible. Like as I talk to you now, people will form their opinions of me, and that's them, not me. That's fine. I think I'm a good dude, but what comes across or doesn't come across is how savage I am. So when I'm out on the path, I'm an absolute beast.
Yeah.
And you can't not be. You cannot not be. You can't walk, run 12,500 miles, 20,000 kilometers and not be that. But there's a time and a place to be that.
Yeah. And
I had a time and a place where I needed to step away from my Instagram and recharge my batteries, because I'm a very extroverted person, but I also need, in order to be that person, happily be that person, to recharge my batteries. Mm-hmm. And after living for 3 years on my phone, I decided that actually I'm going to be very present with myself.
Yeah.
And that. So it was really hard when I finished the walk. A lot of friends, close friends, adventurers in the public eye would be messaging me, meeting me, just telling me, be careful. Be careful of the come down. I thought, that's bullshit. It was real, bro.
Yeah.
I got a book coming out.
Can't wait for the book. Do you know, have you got a name for the book yet?
I think I might get killed for this, but I might as well give you the exclusive, but I'm pretty certain it's going to be called The Magic of the Path.
Oh, wow.
Because I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go, man. And that's another adventure. Every day's an adventure, man. Today's an adventure. And I wake, everyone meets me and says, oh, you got this like amazing look in your eye, man. This fire in your eyes. I'm like, I have. Because I'm so glad to be alive.
Yeah.
Because I nearly wasn't, couldn't be. I could have gone to Afghanistan, and there's versions of you. And one of the versions of me might have died in Afghanistan. Yeah. I could walk out of here, touch wood, the gods, and I don't get hit by a car, but I could, and there'll be a time in our lives where I mentioned it today, I spoke about it today. There's going to be a day that you drink your last coffee. There's going to be a day that you do the last thing. There's going to be a day that it's back to love. Mm-hmm. I always tell people I love them, man. I always hug them, right? And then people would say to me a lot of the times, people very close to me, my partner, she's like, God, you're just so like, you're always telling me you love me. And I'm like, I am, but do you know why? Because one day I might not. Mm-hmm. Or I'll think to myself, like probably a lot of people do, oh, I should have said I love him.
Yeah.
Should have told the kids I love them, but I'll do it tonight. But you might not get to tonight, and they might not get to tonight, so I tell them all the time.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Oh, man.
I think, yeah, man. I mean, I could speak to you for hours.
Yeah,
and
so
we're gonna
we've
have
got 3.5 minutes, right?
We're gonna have to go again.
Yeah, absolutely, a few times. But what am I doing next? So I've got a book coming out. It's going to be in autumn next year, I think. I've got a ghostwriter. He's written for Nims, amazing. Tyson Fury, Wayne Rooney, Usain Bolt. Man, they come for me. That's so cool.
That's crazy.
I mean, like, you know, they've represented Harry Potter, man, like J.K. Rowling, like, and they come for me, and I'm just like, what? And I had all the talks on the path, messages, meetings in London. And it's so fucking exciting. Yeah. So I never thought that I'd write a book. It was always to kind of walk around the UK and write a book, and it just became a thing. And I had so far to walk that I just never really paid much attention to it. And then towards the end, everyone was like, please write a book. They'd listen to me talk over dinner and please write a book. And then it's happened. It's that visualization thing, man. It's talking about it, believing it. So yeah, I'm writing a book next weekend, actually. So the 7th of September, I'm flying to Norway.
Amazing.
And I'm leading an expedition with 8 people, I believe. They're a company in London, and we're raising money for Calm, which is campaign against living miserably, so suicide prevention. And there's going to be these 8 people on this trip that I'm leading with an adventure company as well. And they've had really tough cards in life, and they've got through it. And one of the people has had to drop out because they're so ill.
Jeez.
You know? And honestly, I'm going to cry. Going to be so happy.
Yeah.
It makes me want to cry now, but yeah, just so proud.
Yeah.
To do that.
What a journey.
Oh man, gets me emotional. But yeah, and then I've got podcasts coming out of my ears. But I'm trying to not do many because otherwise no one will buy the book.
Yeah.
I'm possibly walking. It's looking like I will be walking Saudi Arabia next year. Because I'd like to go. As if you've listened to this podcast and got to here, you've kind of probably maybe understood that I like to do things not many people have done. Don't know where that comes from, but we're here. And yeah, that's happening. But most importantly, in the last things, like 90 seconds to go, what I'm going to do next is just be happy, bro. Just so happy.
Yeah, I love it.
If none of those things happen that I just mentioned, it's going to be okay, bro. Like, it's going to be fine. I'll figure something out. I'll figure it out. Like,
yeah.
And you know, like I said, I'm focused on there and getting the book and getting that. But if I focus solely on that, I'm going to miss the other doors that might open. So I'm just an open, free spirit, man.
Mate, I love it. I think I want to, thank you for coming on, mate.
No worries, bro. No worries.
You're an inspiration, and I've always known you're an inspiration. The first time that Jay sent me a post that you'd put up on Instagram saying, "How about this guy for your podcast? I can try and work this out," and I was just like, I can't think of anyone I'd prefer to have on for somebody that's gone through what you've gone through, put yourself in the positions you put yourself in.
Thank you, man.
And just kind of, you talk about the great humans in the UK. And it's just not publicised enough. We go around thinking that people are idiots, people are this, people are that, and
they can be.
I think that I think that what you've done is you've kind of, just been this kind of complete eye opener for me personally.
Yeah, no, it happens a lot.
And I hope
this is out there everywhere, man. That the magic of the path is real.
Yeah.
And all you've got to do, and anyone's got to do, is step outside of their head.
Yeah, love it.
Step outdoors. You'll see it.
Yeah.
You just got to be open to it.
I hope everybody that listens to this gets that message as well, because it is truly inspirational.
Appreciate you,
man. Mate. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank
really
you. Let's go
it.
again sometime soon.
100%.
Yeah.
Cheers.
No worries.
Yo, check it out. It's the Grind Diaries podcast where we share all our hustling stories. Yeah, from the struggles to the grind, we spill it on the mic. So sit back, relax, and let us take you for a ride. To the world where dreams become reality, where we crack the code to success, no fallacy. Blood, sweat, and tears, we rise from the ground. No matter the obstacles, we had to back it down. Yeah, we make it move. From the 9-to-5ers to the hustlers in groove, we got the interviews with the moguls in the game, sharing their story, inspiring you to claim your fame. But on the 9-to-5ers to the hustlers in the groove, we got the interviews with the moguls in the game.